Hi, welcome to another episode of Bethany Talks About Stuff. I'm your host, Bethany F. DeVores, author of the Sea Chronicles, available from Amazon. And as promised, I am finally getting around to talking about Assassin's Creed Shadows and all of the controversy surrounding it. It is set to release in November of 2024, so it's not out as of recording of this video. But what we have now are several trailers, behind the scenes, Ubisoft kind of videos, and some extended gameplay. What I've done is watch all of that and do some research. Now, at this point, a lot of content creators have already covered this. I've taken a little longer just because one, my life is a hot mess right now and there's just been a lot going on. But two, I really wanted to take my time looking at what Ubisoft has released and then kind of really mulling over the controversy, which I will discuss. I'm going to save that for the end. I want to talk about the videos first. But I wanted to really mull over that, kinda ask a couple of people's opinions and, kinda come to my own conclusion. So I wanted to say you're welcome, that I did not attempt any kind of cosplay for this particular episode, which I've kinda stopped doing because, it went really well at first. This is my totally normal wardrobe. And in this episode, I am here to give you my review of Assassin's Creed 4: Black Flag.
And today I'm talking about the video game that is Cyberpunk 2077.
But eventually it went really wrong. And I just want to say right up front, like, things were supposed to go so different. So that's all beside the point. Let's talk about Assassin's Creed Shadows, shall we? First, let me say I have been playing all the Assassin's Creed games. If you've been watching my channel, you know I went through, like, 2023 was basically all Assassin's Creed. Trying to get away from everything being about Assassin's Creed, but of course, with a new one coming out, I have to address it. I've played a lot of Assassin's Creed, and I like the franchise overall. I'm still enjoying the IP. But, there were some interesting decisions made here, and we'll talk about that. First thing I knew about Assassin's Creed Shadows was right off the bat, hey, their main character is a black samurai. That was the first thing I knew. So I was like, in feudal Japan? Seems weird. And then, of course, the next thing came out of anybody's mouth was, oh, well, he was a real person. Okay, well, huh. Anyway, so I was really interested to see some trailers and gameplay before I really made a lot of judgment on this. I've watched, I don't know, 6, 7 videos now. It's been a lot. And it looks like a good game. Overall, it looks like a good game. I'm not going to lie. I think that the graphics look beautiful. I think the gameplay looks interesting. There are key things I'm going to mention that I found really interesting when I was watching these videos. I want to see if you guys notice this and if you're interested in the same things. So first of all, of course, feudal Japan is beautiful. The graphics are beautiful. The landscape is just gorgeous. I'm really looking forward to that. I also really am appreciating the fact that they're actually talking about being assassins. They're assassins.
Who do you serve?
We are the shadows.
That serve the light.
I like that. I'm like, that's good. I enjoyed that. In one of the developers' videos where they kind of broke down the trailer, they talked about how there's going to be dynamic seasons and weather and time, and I thought that is really cool. I like that. I like that a lot. I'm looking forward to that. They also added this grappling hook feature. That looks interesting. I think I'm going to enjoy that. By the way, the pop song in the trailer, I had to go find. My nephew absolutely hates it, but I liked it. Then I watched the gameplay, extended gameplay video. It was like 13 minutes of gameplay. That was really good. I enjoyed the actual combat. I enjoyed the look of it. I enjoyed hearing the characters talk a little bit and I really enjoyed seeing that we're going to be able to pet dogs again.
Well, you are a friendly beast, are you not?
If you're a gamer, you know I'm right. Everybody wants to pet dogs. Were we not all super excited in Red Dead Redemption 2 when we could pet the dogs? So it's good to know the horses still run people over. I think that mechanic would get a little better, but still running people over. I actually kind of think that's funny though. One of the other things I noticed in the gameplay that I really, really liked was the finishers. Like when they actually assassinated their target, there was this beautiful color scheme, graphic look. That was just fantastic. I loved that. We still don't have these dynamic scenes when the assassin actually gets their target. Remember how it used to be?
Non temete l'oscurità, accettate il suo abbraccio, requiescant in pace.
That didn't seem to be in this game either. We just had that really cool graphic and look, that aesthetic with the white and the red. I didn't maybe that'll be in there in the final product. I don't know. Now, going back to something the developers said, one of the things they said was obviously this character, the main character, the Black Samurai, Yasuke, was a real person, a real historical person.
The historical character of Yasuke presented a really exciting opportunity for the narrative team. We approached it in the same way that so much of the work is done in Assassin's Creed, which is really in terms of research and history first. Not a lot is known about him. He had relationships with some of the most interesting people in our setting, like Oda Nobunaga, the Portuguese, and Jesuits, which made it very sort of tantalizing and enticing from a narrative perspective to come in and start weaving these facts with story in between.
She said, well, we're really committed to historical accuracy, but we don't actually know much about him. Like, how convenient. The idea of a Black Samurai is really cool. It is actually a very cool idea. Is it the right idea for a feudal Japan based Assassin's Creed game? I don't know.
Your scientists were so preoccupied with whether or not they could, they didn't stop to think if they should.
I don't know. I think it's very suspect. So I'm just go ahead and get into the controversy. Obviously, a lot of people have concerns about the fact that this game is set in feudal Japan. Instead of a Japanese samurai, they chose the one black samurai in all of feudal Japan's history, which I will grant you is unique. That's an interesting story. I would like to know more about the real story. Don't see how it works for Assassin's Creed the game. Could be wrong. I'm probably going to play this game. I mean, the gameplay looked good. It's not a hill I'm willing to die on at this time. But I do think it is quite suspect of Ubisoft to choose to do this. I think it's a little bit offensive to Japanese culture, personally. I think that this was maybe not the best decision. And I feel like it's not been as well received as they anticipated. But I also wonder if it wasn't purposefully done to drive conversation and to like drum up interest. That everybody would be talking about it and looking at it. And I hate that.
That's disappointing.
I hate that. That's a horrible reason to choose your character. In researching this game, I decided to go after I watched all the videos. I went and started looking at different articles, and I came across this article on IGN, which, take that for what it is. Yeah, okay. The article's title is Let's Not Pretend We're Mad the New Assassin's Creed Shadow Samurai Isn't Asian. The subtitle is It Does Nothing for Asian Representation to Have Another Samurai Hero. Now, maybe you could make an argument that people are overreacting to a black samurai. That statement is pretty offensive. It's just so degrading. Like, your culture is not unique enough. That's the way it comes across. I don't know. It's the way it reads. It's pretty offensive. So I read through some of it. And of course, it's just the same old what you expect. People are jerks, and that's why they don't want a black samurai. Um, just obviously, that's going to be the thrust of that. But I was curious as to how people were responding to that, and I found some of the some of the comments were exactly what you expect. Absolutely, this is all caused by people in search for something to be outraged about. They picked a real person from the actual time period, I am sure, to hopefully avoid this. And even still, faux outrage. I don't think it's faux outrage. I think that's too simplistic. Sorry, I get to reading some more of these characters, like from some of these comments. I mean, I start reading some more of these comments. I had picked a few specifically to read, but I kind of distracted reading some more. Like this one says, how pumped do you think IGN was when they found out the new Assassin's Creed game based in Japan had Yasuke as one of its main characters? Their eyes probably turned into money signs thinking about all the clicks engagement they were going to get for the next few weeks. Probably true. That's pretty funny. I was surprised by how many people actually were like, this seems weird. I expected there to be kind of more half and half. And there definitely is a lot of support for that choice, but then there's a lot of, and I wouldn't even say people being hateful or even outright mad, but just more like it doesn't sit well, right? A lot of people were just like, it feels weird. Like this one, maybe it's the current climate of things, but it just feels like a bad corporate attempt to check a box by making Yasuke a playable character rather than a genuine desire by Yubi to tell a story about and using the person. To my knowledge, this is the first time that one of the protagonists has been an actual historical character. There have been plenty of historical characters in the games, but they have not been the protagonist. To my knowledge, unless I've missed something, which is possible, I think it's a huge mistake to use a historical character. Regardless, like take the whole black samurai thing out of it. Let's say they used an Asian samurai, but they picked somebody who is a famous historical figure. I still think it would be a mistake. You get boxed in, and then anything you do becomes an issue. Are we taking it too far? Are we going off the rails with this character? Are we getting too far from who the character really was? Are we villainizing this person who in real life wasn't a villain? Are we making this person a hero who in real life wasn't a hero? There's too much nuance to the human psyche of real people to boil them down to a character in a game as a playable character, right? I just think that's a mistake. I'm not saying it can't be done, but I think it's a slippery slope that you got to be really careful with. I think if you're writing fiction and you choose to use a historical character, like again, you've got to be very, very careful. And I think this was a mistake for that reason. I think mainly it was a mistake for that reason. Ubisoft has been traditionally very focused on an agenda. And um, so everybody just immediately said, oh, that's part of the agenda. Maybe it wasn't. Maybe it really was an artistic decision. I don't know that we'll ever know for sure. These comments have been really interesting. Here's a comment. As an Asian man, I find it ridiculous. Imagine there would be an Assassin's Creed set in Central Africa a few centuries ago, and there would be a main character as a light skinned Asian. It simply doesn't make any sense from a cultural, historical, and narrative perspective. Exactly right. Exactly right. That is part of my problem. Um, it says the problem is that the series pretends to have an historical accuracy in the way it portrays its thematic and time period. From the costumes of the characters, the customs, and the historical events. By adjusting the main character as a person from a completely different continent and culture, then the credibility just falls apart. See, I think this is a great point. This is kind of what I'm trying to say. You're taking away the attention from this culture that was fascinating and interesting and you pretend to say you're wanting to highlight. But when you put a person from a totally different ethnic group and culture and drop them into this one, now you're pulling the attention away from this culture. It just feels weird. And this person says it's on the border of being offensive to Asian culture. I'm not gonna disagree there. This person says, anyway, this whole thing about representation by way of the playable character doesn't make any sense to me since feeling represented by the main character is not typically the reason a team sets out to make a video game in the first place. And I will add, it shouldn't be anyway. I don't personally care about the skin color or gender of the main character in relation to myself. I'm not more or less interested if they have my same gender and skin color. I care if the story is interesting, the setting is fun to be in slash explore, the gameplay is entertaining enough to hold your interest throughout, etc. I think that's an excellent point. Something I've been saying for a while. When it comes to entertainment, gaming, movies, books, TV, what we want is the relatable in the sense that we relate to the story, we relate to the emotions. I don't need to relate to somebody's skin color, their gender. I want the story. I think we do a disservice to everybody when we focus on just trying to be relatable to people playing. Like, I don't want to play an old fat white lady. just I play that in real life. Don't need to play it in a video game. I want to play something different. The video game should be where I can disconnect from reality and just cut loose for a while and just lose myself in that video game world. That's the point. So this drive that everything has to be relatable is just it's ridiculous.
Stupid!
Another one said, this is a reaction to companies using DEI for marketing and applying it with a quick fix checkbox mentality. The entertainment industry has lost trust of viewers and gamers. They are now too suspicious of everything to the point that they don't trust anything is done for the artistic reason. Until all these companies understand that, this culture war will continue. And I think a lot of people feel the same way. There's a pattern from some of these companies. And we can look at a slow decline, but Ubisoft is, I mean, this is not new for them to be pushing an agenda, the message. I don't even, normally I don't even care that much if the story is still very good. The gameplay is good, the story is still very good. And I'm hoping in this case that's still going to be the case because the gameplay looks good. And the character actually does look interesting. I just think it's not necessarily the right choice for this setting. But for Assassin's Creed, and they say that they're highlighting the Japanese culture, but really are they? I find it sad too that so many people have worked so hard on this game and put blood, sweat, and tears into it. And that's going to be forgotten because people are too busy talking about the fact that the main character is a black samurai. I feel like they've done a disservice to their own game. And there's some really cool stuff happening in this game. You've got dynamic time, seasons, weather. You could pet the dogs again. I mean, there's really cool the grappling hook. We've got back to being assassins again. Like there's all this really cool and fun stuff happening in this game. But what is everybody talking about? It's a black samurai. And I think it's doing a disservice to their own game. I think they need to let their own games stand on their own 2 feet instead of using a this feels to me like a crutch almost, like we gotta hook people in somehow instead of just believing that their game can stand on its own 2 feet. My last bastion of real, genuine, mind-numbing entertainment has been video games. All my other stuff has gone the way of the dodo. Like, it's just bad. All my favorite IPs have basically been ruined. I can't enjoy them anymore. They're no good. The writing's terrible. Like it's all about the controversy instead of the storytelling. And the one last thing I had left is video games. And I feel like it's creeping in.
No! No! No!
I think at this point though, the best thing we can do is call it out for what it is and be honest. We don't want this. I just want to enjoy the story and connect to a character on a deeper level than what they look like. I am interested to know, do you guys think that this is being blown way out of proportion? Do you think, oh, it's only mildly being blown out of proportion? Do you think this is ridiculous? I'm interested. Are you going to buy it? Are you going to get Assassin's Creed Shadows? Are you going to play it? As of right now, I am planning to. That could change. But as of recording this video, I am planning to. So I'm interested to know if you guys are too. And I'm just interested to see what you think about what's going on in the gaming industry overall and the trajectory of our gaming world. So leave me a comment. Obviously, I want to hear from you. Also, please, if you like the video, like, share, subscribe, all the stuff you're supposed to do out on the internets. And otherwise, that's it for now.